Good morning. How are we all doing out there?
Morning.
Excellent.
All right.
Let's please stand. Let's do prayer. Mr. Moss, want to lead us? And then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Protect us during these times. Protect us during these days. Ensure that we are following the science and trying to do what's right for our families and for this community. Bless those whose lives were impacted by the Surfside event. Bless our first responders and their families because they were impacted as well. These are the blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Place a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all.
It's okay. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Board Member Fernandez? Here. Board Member Monesteem? Here. Board Member Smith-Fano? Secretary Miller? Treasurer Weinberg? Here. Vice Chair Moss?
Here.
Chairman Diaz?
Here.
We have a quorum, sir. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have 5 members present, or I thought I heard somebody. That
No.
wasn't.
No.
Okay, just check. All right. With that, let's move on. Any declarations of voting?
Actually,
conflicts?
Mr. Chairman, before you approve the agenda, I have 2 changes to the agenda. On item 3B2, it should state that the due date of that analysis will be September 30th, the next board meeting. And on item 5B, the Kendall Parkway presentation, we'd like to defer that to the September 30th board meeting to add additional information that Vice Chairman Moss has asked for.
I don't have a problem with that. Anybody else have an issue with that? All right, so be it.
Thank you.
All right, so declarations of any voting conflicts? Okay. Now I'm going to open it up to the citizens. Anybody that would like to speak on any item, it's the time to do so, to come up and to speak at this time. Do we fill out cards here for people to speak? We don't?
No.
All right, let's start that procedure from now on, please.
Okay.
It's the same thing we do in the county meetings. That way we have a record. All right, so don't see a mad rush of everybody coming to speak to us about an issue. So I guess everything's fine and everything's good. So we're gonna close the public hearing side of this. All right, so we move on. So my comments, I'm gonna actually leave my comments to the end.
Perfect.
All right, and let's approve the minutes summary for board meeting June 25th.
Move it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
For- who's- All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, let's go on, Madam Clerk, or Mr. Attorney, actually.
Okay, regular agenda, item A1, Resolution 21-01, urging the State of Florida Department of Transportation and the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise to implement a toll rebate program to provide Miami-Dade residents, daily commuters, and businesses toll relief on the state-owned and operated expressways within Miami-Dade County.
Okay, Mr. Executive Director, do you have something first? Okay, Commissioner Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, Mr. Chairman, I would hope that my colleagues, that all my colleagues would support this particular item. What we're asking or urging the state of Florida to do and the Turnpike Enterprise to do is to follow our lead, our good lead, and that is in rebating back to the residents of Miami-Dade County who utilize our facilities at MDX, providing them with a rebate. In the past, we've rebated $19 million, I believe it is. And with the current extension of the rebate program, we're looking to rebate another $6.5 million, I believe it is. And so what we're saying is that we like for the state to follow our lead and to provide the same kinds of opportunities and breaks, if you will, to our residents, to our toll users, to those who use our facilities every day. Provide the same kinds of breaks to those drivers that we at the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority are providing and have provided in the past. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion to approve this particular resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner Miles. I'll recognize you for a motion as soon as I hear from my colleagues, and also the Executive Director, you wanna
Yeah, I just
place
wanted
this
to-
and give a complete explanation?
Sure,
So people understand, and Commissioner Miles was very clear.
Sure.
But I want the people out there to really understand this, please.
Sure. Back in 2015, this board enacted the cashback toll dividend program. As I mentioned at the last board meeting, it is a program that basically rewards our daily commuters, the most frequent of our users. And what we basically said is, if a customer, if a consumer uses our facilities, keeps their SunPass account in good standing, and we outperform our projections, we run as a business, we outperform our projections, we will share in the upside with our customers. And that's why we call it a dividend program. It helps us because it keeps all of the accounts in good standing. That way we don't have to go to video tolling, which is more expensive, or image tolling, which is more expensive. So that's one program. The second program was the multi-axle program, which is the truckers discount. Very few people, other than the truckers, know that on the MDX expressways, the maximum you will pay is 3 axles. The biggest issue we had with the trucking industry when we met with the trucking industry was the empties, that they would get off the highway because no one's really paying, or they can't get the reimbursed toll because they're carrying an empty trailer, an empty rig. So what we did is we capped it at three axles, and it's been very, very, very successful with the trucking industry. The third program was more recently enacted, and it's a 15% toll discount for active military personnel here in Miami-Dade County, Coast Guard, Army, Navy. Anybody who's here that's active can register with us and get a 15% toll discount. The reason we can do this, board members, it goes to our rebate program. Our system, and the numbers show it, we have a lot of people that use our system on a daily basis, but they're very infrequent users. They're visitors. They're not daily commuters. Maybe 30% are daily commuters. And we benefit the daily commuters, the residents, by the rest of the folks using it. So that's the way we've been able to structure it. It's been very successful, and we look forward to the support of the program later in the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Treasurer Weinberg, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing me. And I want to applaud Vice Chair Moss' move. I don't think as long as I've been on this board, we've passed resolution urging anyone to follow our lead. So this is a very welcome reprieve. At first, because we didn't have that history, I was like, what? But reading through this resolution, you did an incredible job in putting this together and relating the history of the agency and what we've accomplished and how our partners in tolling in the state of Florida could follow suit. And if you could indulge me, Mr. Chair, I would love for the actual resolution to be read into the record, if that's okay with
Not a
Vice Chair
problem.
Moss.
That's your request. Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Attorney, could you read the entire resolution into the record? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Resolution urging the state of Florida Department of Transportation and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise to implement a toll repay program to provide Miami-Dade residents, daily commuters, and businesses toll relief on the state-owned and operated expressways within Miami-Dade County. Whereas the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority is a body politic and a corporate public instrumentality formed and created by the Miami-Dade County Ordinance Number 94-215, adopted December 13, 1994, by the Board of County Commissioners of Miami-Dade. And whereas in 1996, MDX purchased from the state of Florida the perpetual rights to operate and maintain 5 east-west expressways within Miami-Dade County, herein referred to as the system. And whereas all toll revenues have been reinvested into the system, thereby exponentially expanding the system to meet the growing needs of the daily commuters in our community, as well as the growing freight and commerce needs of our local businesses, while creating economic growth for local and small business, mostly minority-owned in Miami-Dade County. And whereas on April 21st, 2015, the Board of County Commissioners adopted Resolution R-355-15, urging MDX to avoid future toll increases and instead to consider reducing toll rates or cap toll rates at existing levels and to eliminate the use of CPI as the basis for toll increases. And whereas on December 14th, the MDX Board of Directors adopted a resolution for no future toll increases on the existing system tolled expressways, which was reaffirmed in 2019. And whereas MDX never adjusted its tolls for the CPI in its 27-year history. And whereas in May 2018, the MDX Board of Directors approved a 6.5% toll reduction of the SunPass and toll by plate rates on the 5 local MDX owned and operated expressways: State Road 836, commonly referred to as the Dolphin Expressway; State Road 112, the Airport Expressway; State Road 874, the Don Shula Expressway; State Road 878, Snapper Creek Expressway; and State Road 924, the Gratigny Parkway. And whereas on April 21st, 2015, the Board of County Commissioners also adopted Resolution R-354-15 in support of the existing MDX Advantage Program, a Customers Rewards Program, and the Multi-Axle Frequency Discount Program that capped tolls on the MDX local expressways at 3 axles, allowing cargo containers to travel for free on the MDX Expressway, saving freight industry approximately $39 million to date. And whereas Resolution R-354-15 urged MDX to further refine and expand its MDX Advantage program, keeping in mind the cost of tolls upon the low and middle class income customers. And whereas among suggestions by the Board of County Commissioners was for MDX to provide cash rebates on a percentage basis rather than by a toll dollar amount, so that the rebate amount is proportionate to each customer's usage of MDX expressways. And whereas in response to the request by the Board of County Commissioners, in June of 2015, the MDX Board of Directors created the Cashback Toll Dividend Program, which today is called the Frequent Drivers Program, Rewards Program. And whereas MDX Frequent Drivers Reward Program offered a frequency discount rates for all its customers, whether individual commuters, commercial vehicles, institutional, or governmental customers, based on customer frequency or customer total monetary expenditure on the MDX system. And MDX Frequent Drivers Rewards Program has reimbursed $19 million directly to its frequent customers, which include daily commuters and small and local businesses for the 4 years that the program has been active. And whereas on June 25th, 2021, the current MDX Authority Board of Directors reaffirmed the Frequent Drivers Reward Program for tolls paid on the system in fiscal year 2019 and fiscal year 2020, and the authority will be issuing toll refund checks to thousands of customers this year. And whereas MDX also recognizes the contribution of our military heroes, offering members of the armed forces a 15% toll discount through the military discount program. And whereas the residents of Miami-Dade County who travel on the state of Florida owned and operated expressway are not eligible for a toll rebate or discount through the MDX Frequent Drivers Reward Program, and those who drive trucks or vehicles with more than 3 axles are not eligible for the multi-axle discount program. And whereas the state of Florida Department of Transportation charges multi-axle vehicles and cargo trucks a toll for every axle without a cap or limitation. And whereas the state of Florida Department of Transportation and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise increased or adjust their tolls annually on the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike. heft, which they automatically implement every 5 years. And whereas the state-owned and operated highways within Miami-Dade County, Florida Turnpike, Palmetto Expressway, 826, and Interstate 95 account for approximately 60% of all tolls collected throughout Miami-Dade County, a percentage that has grown with the new Palmetto toll lanes and with the automatic CPI toll adjustments. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 86% of the residents of Miami-Dade County are considered minorities. And whereas it is patently unfair that Miami-Dade County pays 25% of the tolls collected statewide on the Florida Turnpike for the past 47 years, currently over $200 million annually, and has not received infrastructure projects equal to the almost $9 billion in toll dollars collected on the heft since its open to traffic. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority Board of Directors that this board approve and incorporate the foregoing recitals in this resolution, urge the state of Florida Department of Transportation and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise to implement a toll rebate program comparable to the MDX Frequent Drivers Reward Program to provide Miami-Dade residents, daily commuters, and businesses toll relief on the state-owned and operated expressways within Miami-Dade County. Urges the state of Florida Department of Transportation and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise to freeze tolls and suspend CPI toll increases on the state-owned and operated highways within Miami-Dade County.
Thank you so much. So with that, I think you were done?
Thank you, yes.
Treasurer Weber.
I think it was important to read
Any
it.
other member would like to speak on this? We're good? So, Mr. Vice Chairman, I recognize you for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me ask if I can amend the resolution to direct, the administration here to send copies of this resolution to our state representatives, certainly FDOT and the Turnpike authorities, and anyone else that plays a relevant role in tolling on state and Turnpike facilities.
I guess their list of transportation partners
Yes.
and the members of not only the state board, is it okay to add members of municipalities and so on that are affected by this also?
Absolutely. And the Board of County Commissioners.
Exactly.
We will do that.
Yes,
State
sir.
county government as a whole, including the municipalities and the different levels of government, school board, everybody. All right? Is that good?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
We're clear? All right, so I have a motion,
Move it.
and I have a second by Treasurer Weinberg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. Next item.
Item A2, compensation study for the executive director and legal counsel position, returned by September 30th, 2021, board meeting.
Vice Chairman Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, over the last 2 years, we've had an executive director, staff, a legal counsel to really hold this organization together
Yes, sir.
when there was no board of directors. And they have done a tremendous job over not only during that period of time, but in times, before. And I just believe that it is important to conduct a compensation study so that we can take a look at, how we're compensating our executive director as well as our legal counsel. And then that would give us some basis for reviewing, their efforts and making some decisions in the future about their compensation, which this board has not had the ability to do, for the last 2 years. And so this is the reason why I put forth this directive, and again, asking that it come back within 60 days, Mr. Executive Director, if that's possible. But I think that we need to have the information. We need to understand, what the compensation levels are out there, and then we can intelligently make a decision about what we feel we need to do in order to make sure that we continue to have the quality leadership and legal counsel at this particular agency that it deserves. And so with that at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Anybody would like to speak to this? Okay, so I will recognize you for a motion. I think you have a second already in line.
I'd like to move the compensation study for the executive director and legal counsel and have it come back to this board within 60 days.
Okay, within 60 days.
Yes, we'll
Second
have
by
it. We'll have
Treasurer
it at the
Weinberg.
September, we'll have it at the September board meeting, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
so with that, no other questions? All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Mr. Attorney, next item?
Sir. Item 3B, approval to waive current frequent drivers program eligibility requirements and approval of the 2021 cashback rebate to eligible customers.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Sir Executive
The,
Director, you're recognized.
this item is, as we discussed it at the last board meeting, our current policy at MDX, which we weren't able to implement last year, is that anybody who uses the expressway, the MDX expressway system, and spends at least $250 a year during the fiscal year, keeps their accounts in good standing, would receive a 15% cashback dividend capped at $300 per transponder. That is the current policy. Staff, at the direction of this board and listening to what this board has said over the last 2 months, is recommending that we waive the eligibility criteria by combining the amounts of toll paid for fiscal years 20 and 21, lowering the threshold from $250 a year to $100 over the 2 years, and removing the $300 cap. Board members, what these modifications will provide is approximately $4.8 million back to our most frequent users, and it'll give cash back to over 68,267 customers. That is over twice the amount that would have gotten it any other year.
Could you explain the reasoning why you're combining?
The reason we combined it over the 2 years, sir, is we had COVID last year. If you look at the year, fiscal year 20, we didn't have a board, so we couldn't declare a dividend. Then we get to March of 2020, and we have COVID. COVID went through pretty much, the economy didn't start opening up till late July, August of last year. So if you combine both years and you put COVID in the middle, in essence, what we're giving our consumers is the 1 year of actual daily usage, which is why the numbers, worked out as far as something that is affordable, is in our financing plan, and does not impact any of our financial metrics.
That would be my
we have.
question to you.
Yes.
Just to make sure, and I want that real clear. If you could please repeat that again.
It does not affect any of our financial metrics. We continue with our debt service coverage, and we met and exceeded what our projections were.
And we get back to the people.
We're giving back to the people, yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Member Monestein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In reviewing this item, I feel very pleased of the approach used by the administration to reach out to as many people as possible, to provide the rebate to as many people as possible. Basically, more than doubling the threshold.
Right.
When we first met, I think 3 or 4 meetings ago, part of the discussion here was ensuring that we regain as a board the public trust, regain the confidence of the public, from the public. So I think this is an item that's going to help doing that, spreading the wealth, doubling the number of people that receive this rebate, and not affecting, our operational costs. I think this is all good for the welfare of not just this board, but the people of Miami-Dade County. Thank you, Mr.
Motion from you?
Definitely. I'll take the opportunity to make the motion. on this.
Okay. Member Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, I think this is great, piggybacking on what Member Monestein said. I mean, we have to gain the public's trust, and we got to bring back the programs that make people feel that way, not only us being transparent, but it's also about us giving back to the public. I just have one question, which I think it's more, is this on an annual basis we would be evaluating as we go? So this is not going to stay just like this?
Correct, Board Member Fernandez, which is why we brought the item forward as waiving the current eligibility criteria. The way the policy reads is that every year we have to analyze it, because the first criteria that we have to meet is that we meet all of our financial metrics.
Right.
After we meet all our financial metrics, then whatever's beyond that, then we declare a dividend and share it with our customer.
Okay.
And that
Which-
is why, so for next fiscal year, we will again bring back the program. We will tell you what the metrics is, and the board will have the ability to, adopt a dividend back to hopefully we exceed our projections.
Which goes back to what I mentioned in the last meeting. I think that even with, I know we had the report for the credit rating, and if that were to improve as well,
Of
there
course.
is more opportunity for us to give back even more as we start doing the analysis on an annual basis. So,
Thank you, Member Fernandez. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I want to join my voices, my fellow board members, and they spell it out, very well. And that is that we have to work hard to regain the trust of the people, in the community, as well as benefiting them through, giving them some of their own money back that they invest every day utilizing our facilities. I think that we need to perhaps take a look at additional approaches to get that word out, because I believe that there are certain segments in the community who don't really understand how MDX operates and what MDX basically does. And I think that if we can do some special outreach to them, to let them know exactly what it is that, we are doing and how it is benefiting them, and how the rebate program will help them, I think that we can gain additional allies that right now are just kind of standing on the sideline because they really, we're really not outreached to them. And we need to bring as many allies along with us in order for us to be able to do the work of this agency here in Miami-Dade County, because, the bumps in the road that we've felt along the way, there are going to be other bumps in the future. And we just need to make sure that people see us as being honest and transparent and forthcoming and wanting to really do what's, good for this community. And so I'm glad that the rewards program is back. And I look forward to, as Board Member Fernandez said, if there are opportunities to give more in the future, let's give more in the future. We can still build what we need to build for this community, while at the same time, giving them something back as it relates to toll rebate programs and other things that we can do as an authority.
And I appreciate that, Vice Chairman. That's the reason why I asked the Executive Director to repeat the statement that he had read earlier, because it's important that we are very clear and transparent. And when I took over in the position of chairman, I wanted to, and I stated, the first thing that I stated was that I wanted transparency part of this board, even though there was transparency in the past, but further transparency. We wanted to be live, not only on social media, but also on cable and on television, and wanted to make sure people understood exactly what was taking place. Because I think this board in the past has been misconstrued by many on purpose. And honestly, it's unfair to what board members went through in the past year and what the executive director and everybody that is part of this board has gone through. The programs are dictated by the need. And if the need is needed, that is what's produced by MDX. And that's the reason I asked him once again, to repeat it again, because I don't want to misconstrue and be out there people saying, well, if they have so much money to give back money, then, why are they charging so much? It is not the idea to do it that way, in the sense that depending on the need of the programs that are put in place and the construction that everybody out there wants to get done, depending on what happens in all the financial obligations and obligations that take place, then after that, that's when the give back takes place. Not before, not as a scheduled thing, not as a political ploy, not as any other venue, but simply to state, after the financial needs are met, then we go back and give as much as possible. And I think it's been clear by all the members up here that this is an important thing to do for the citizens of this community. So I wanted to be real clear on this and appreciate what has been presented, Mr. Executive Director. And to all the members, this is something that we, I think, stated very clearly in the last meeting. So with that, I have I believe, a motion by, oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to
Treasurer
give some of the
Weinberg,
numbers.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
recognize you earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to give some of the numbers that, I don't know, that we covered. But we did have 267 transponders to process. There will be 68,271 customers receiving money back for these 2 years, and the average check will be about $70, which is quite welcomed, I'm sure, for a lot of our users. So we're very, very, very proud of that. I want to commend staff and Marie and all our math folks and Javier. We met for the first time as a board on May 25th, and the very first directive from chair, vice chair, and we all echoed that was, can we bring back cash back? And here we are, just one more board meeting after. Here we are sitting, getting ready to send this back out, and our staff to hit the ground running, figuring the numbers, making sure our responsibilities were met, absolutely, and making adjustments to our own policy so that we can give back money for folks during the pandemic even. So I'm very, very proud. I want to thank this board and, of course, staff for making this happen so quickly, and thank our toll users, or users of our system who consistently ride our roadways, or as a close friend of mine called it yesterday, 836 is the spa of expressways from how well we maintain it. I loved that he said that. It was my husband, actually, who said that, but he was not biased at all.
Full disclosure, right?
Full disclosure. So thank you. I'm very proud to have these numbers come back with the 68,271 customers with an average check going out of $70. So thank you.
And there's going to be a lot more.
Yes, absolutely.
So with that, I have a motion by Member Monestein. Do I have a second?
Second?
By Member Fernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show. Next item, Mr. Attorney.
Item 3C, approval of contract award to PNP Contracting Incorporated for construction services for system-wide bridge rehabilitation and joint repair. MDX contract number 21-06, $1,866,740.
Thank you. Mr. Executive Director.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like Claudio de la Feria to go over this item with you, and I'd also like him to explain to the board and the audience what we do with our structures and our structures program at MDX. So Claudio, if you may.
Please do. Morning. Make sure that mic is on.
Yeah.
Why don't you come up to the podium?
Go
if
to the
anything.
podium.
Yeah.
That way they can see you.
You do such a good job that we really want to see you, man. That's so good.
Yeah, stand up.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay.
There we go.
All right. Good morning, board members. As Javier mentioned, yes, I, in lieu of everything that's been happening with Surfside, we wanted to make sure that the board members understood the process that MDX follows in order to maintain and inspect our structures and our bridges on our system. So I prepared something very quickly. So MDX basically follows the FHWA National Bridge Inspection Standards, which requires extensive and detailed inspection to be performed on a biannual basis. So MDX accomplishes this through the use of two consultants. They're certified structural and bridge firms that do inspections on all of our structures. There's currently 155 bridges on our system. 209 overhead sign structures, and 79 high mast lights. So all these get inspected on a biannual basis. So the inspections are required to be performed by Florida certified bridge inspection engineering firms, and all inspections are currently up to date. We never stop. We've never stopped through everything that's gone on, and so that's something that we take as priority is safety. So that has something that we've never wavered on. Furthermore, these are all reported in the Florida Bridge Management System that is also used by DOT, and that gets reported to FHWA actually annually. So this is an ongoing bridge list that we put into the system. Currently, like I mentioned before, we do it on a 2-year cycle for programming and tracking purposes, and we have 2 firms that don't do the same work. So in essence, as an added level of safety, one firm will never inspect the same bridge 2 cycles in a row. That way we have coverage to ensure that we don't have the same firm inspecting the same bridge. So that helps. On top of that, the MDX Trust Indenture requires the MDX GCs to perform annual inspections on the system and determine if the system is in good repair and in good working order. And so far, based on all the reports that were submitted in the previous one, everything is in good working order. Lastly, I'd like to report that currently there are no bridges or structures on the MDX system that are structurally deficient. So with that said, based on the reports that are generated by these 2 consultants, we determined whether the work should be covered by our asset maintenance contractor on an ongoing basis, or if they're large enough or outside of the scope of the asset maintenance contract in order for us to create projects, which leads me into item C, which is the approval of contract award for this project. So this item is a motion to approve for us to award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. We released on May 10th an ITB seeking for qualified contractors to perform to provide construction services for ITB number 2106. So this is basically for bridge repair and bridge joints. There's 44 bridges on our system that we've determined that need to have bridge joints. This is preventative maintenance. This is basically so water doesn't seep through and create spalling and corrosion underneath the bridge. So we received 7 bid packages. Our procurement department performed compliance on the top 2 and deemed them responsive and responsible. And so staff is recommending award to PMP Contracting. And we reached out to them. We also reached out to the surety company to make sure that they had a good responsive bid and that they would back the project, and they affirmed it. So we're recommendation of approval.
Okay. Based on that, let me be real. I want to ask you a question. So our roads are toll roads. So I always hear that, you know, if you ever want to go over a bridge and not worry about it, go over a toll road bridge. And that's because of the maintenance that takes place on a constant basis. This is part of that maintenance that you guys are making sure that it's always in proper form and sealed and everything that it needs to be done. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. We do preventative maintenance. We're not reactionary. We don't wait for the problem to come up before we address it. So there's actually a report that we keep in a dashboard, and it tells us there's an ongoing list that we have, and we are continually monitoring and assigning it. So we're not waiting for things to pop up. We're continually doing business. And this is a preventative maintenance project.
And that's important for people out there to understand that this is preventive. This is not reactive.
Correct.
And it's important to do these things, and that's what this organization is so important to do. I know I have an engineer that I'm looking at, that she's smiling, because she knows the process very well. So, as I remember, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I was going to highlight preventive maintenance is the key word, I think, in all of this, and it's very important because instead of us being reactionary, when something's going to happen, I think preventive maintenance is much more important than even the reactionary, because then our maintenance, our repairs will be much cheaper than if we were to do it when we are reactionary. I mean, the cost is astronomical when you're going to go do a repair after the fact. So I commend MDX for staying on top of this. I know I asked many questions as far as how our structures were, if you guys are doing inspections on a constant basis, even with the lapse that you all had for some time. So I'm very for this item, so.
Okay. Anybody else on this?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would say before you vote on this is I'd like to thank the legal team because they understood, they listened to the engineer who was begging to get authority from the courts to continue to do our job as far as it related to public safety, and this was critical. It was difficult to explain. It was difficult to explain that preventive is always better because in our world, reactionary may have already cost a life, and that's not what you want. And I'm thankful to the judge, Judge Cooper, who granted this order and allowed us to proceed. So thank you, board members, for your support on this.
So I then to retract my statement and say engineers up here, not engineers.
As an old mentor of mine said, I haven't played engineering for many, many, many years.
I do it every day, my friend. Vice Chairman Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In light of the issues that we've had in our community, both at FIU and at Surfside, is there anything that we've learned from those incidents that we are paying particular attention to now? Is there anything different that we're doing?
I wouldn't say necessarily we're doing anything different. We're kind of doing the same thing we've always done. Our staff is very robust, and we have double blind checks, and we have teams, for example, on the 83611, which is the project in conjunction with FDOT. That's a very large project, significant project, with structures that are over live traffic. And you would be amazed of the amount of people and oversight that every single one of those structural reviews has. So we did above and beyond what we normally would do. And on that bridge, we actually did a separate independent bridge loading analysis on the entire bridge to make sure everything was structurally capable and sound to accommodate even the future widenings. So we did go above and beyond, but I wouldn't say we're doing anything different. We're just, our teams are very robust with different levels of double checks and QCs to make sure that we're meeting all the standards.
I would recommend that you go above and beyond.
Right.
Particularly in light of, our experiences in this community and in the grief and suffering that has occurred, just to make sure, that it's not business as usual, that there's a heightened alert and a heightened concern about the safety on our system, our bridges in particular, in this particular case.
Understood. We actually, last year, we initiated, like I said, an additional above and beyond review of all of 836, and I believe it was 874. Now there's going to be, this year, we're going to continue with the rest of the system, so that's an added level of check we're going to do.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, with that, I need a motion. God, do I miss that? Motion by Vice Chairman Mott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Fernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next item, Mr. Attorney.
Item 3D, approval to sell 18 surplus properties, estimated revenue $14,316,000.
Mr. Chairman,
The director,
as
you
we've
recognize?
discussed this, these are 18 parcels that were purchased in support of a project that is no longer in our work program. It's been removed from a work program and the long-range transportation plan. They were all purchased by MDX, and we're seeking your approval to put them out in the market for surplus. We will be conducting an appraisal on each one of these parcels prior to putting it out in the market. And as the agenda item says, that when we put it out to sell, the terms and conditions at the minimum sale price of either the estimated minimum sales price that we've already analyzed or the appraisal, whichever is higher. If for any reason any of these bids come back that don't comply with these two and it creates a conflict, we will bring it to this board for your guidance and consultation.
That is fair, and I wanted that to be very clear. I know I have an expert up here on this. Commissioner Monestein, you want to add anything?
Well, the executive director made it clear that there is no future needs anticipated for these properties. I think it's a wise move, and the approach is is the most appropriate one, to the fact that he'll consider perhaps not just one, but a couple of different appraisers, assisting with providing the right value for these properties, and also seeing whether, especially in this market, some buyers are willing or would be willing to pay even more if there's a bidding war, because it's a seller's market. It's the right time to sell.
That is the hope, sir.
Yeah, and this is a gain of properties that were purchased for projects that were being done. Am I correct?
Yes.
And they became
these-
surplus because everything was done and no
They're
more
not
need
needed.
of the properties
Correct.
were.
In fact, some of these properties, actually, we already gave perpetual easements or easements to the county for the extension of the Arlington Heights Metro Rail into the Miami Intermodal Center. So if you look at the Exhibit 1 that shows each parcel and what was purchased and what is declared surplus, you'll see that there's a difference because we already remove the piece that's needed for the public, for the transportation improvement. So the rest is surplus.
And Executive Director, that's something that was important to me to know, that we're going to try to get the top dollar back to the citizens by putting this money back into our coffers. And that's important. That's been stated here today. Treasurer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I had two questions when I had my briefing with Javier, and I just want to get one just clearly into the record. So one was to make sure, as you stated, that these will never, we don't anticipate needing them in the future for any future expansions of our program, as we hopefully soon get ready to prepare to have some kind of a 10 or 15-year plan like we did a few years back. That would be great. So that's great to hear that no. But two, also that all of these parcels were purchased after the transfer agreement with the Department of Transportation. So these are all 100% MDX-owned land.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was important because that was my question to the Executive Director in my briefing. If there was any monies that came into this from any other entity, that then later we have a problem, and you just clarified it very
There
well.
aren't any.
So I'm good with this, and in fact, I think this is a great move on our behalf. So do I hear a motion? Motion by Member Monestein. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Treasurer Weinstein. All right. So with that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the record show. Mr. Attorney.
Yes. Item 3E, approval of Executive Director's Annual Performance Evaluation endorsed by the Executive Committee on July 9th, 2021.
Do I have a motion on this item?
Move it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Member Fernandez. All in favor, say aye.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Oh,
We-
okay. I
yeah.
thought I was getting through this to finish the agenda, but here we go. Madam Treasurer?
So we actually have not completed the numerical evaluation, and I wondered if, just to be fully compliant with the contract, we can postpone this to the September meeting. By then, we'll also have the compensation studies, like a one big package. But there was a numerical evaluation that we didn't get a chance to go through, and I had wanted the board to maybe get done to it today, but I think we should do that in haste. We could have time to actually sit and execute the full evaluation, so that now we have the compensation we've agreed on and the evaluation package, the actual numerical, and do everything at once in the September meeting. If that's
Executive
okay.
Director?
Actually, there's two elements, and in my conversation with the treasurer, what I explained was that there's going to be a compensation study. It'll be back on September 30th. At that point, you can do the numerical evaluation. You will have worked with me for at least 6 months. What was agreed to at the executive committee was simply compliance with what's in my contract, and that way our finances can be closed. So you could separate the two without a problem.
And it could be revisited in the
It can be
future.
revisited in the future without a problem.
So I would like to proceed on this, if possible, based on what he said. So do I have a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to move the item again. We did have conversation in the executive committee, and, we agreed to move forward in this direction. And so I want to stay the course, and we'll have an opportunity to do additional reviews in the future. So that
Especially when we get the
item.
information back.
Right. I move the
Thank you. So I have a motion?
No, that's, if I may, and that's okay, I'm fine. But I really want us to get through the numerical, where we actually grade his performance, that form that we didn't get through. So if we can at least make sure that we have that out to the board for the September board meeting, and we can complete that one.
We'll do that,
would
but I
be-
would like to move on
Yeah,
this
no, no,
to
of
make
course,
sure
of
we
course.
could close the records and,
Yeah.
meet
Close
the
the books.
guidelines that we have to do.
Yeah.
So I have a motion by the vice chairman. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
By our treasurer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What do we have left, Mr. Attorney?
We have the consent agenda, and as Board Member Weinberg, we usually put travel on the consent agenda, so that's why it's on the consent agenda. And it's October 8th to the 12th, 2021, trip to Anaheim, California by the Executive Director
And board members.
Rodriguez to attend the IBTTA's 89th Annual Meeting and Exhibition.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second by the vice chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is a presentation at the request of Vice Chairman Moss on the 874 extension, and Claudio de la Feria is going to give you an update. The project is essentially completed. He has a presentation that is going to be for the benefit of this community, and they can see it. I know he's going to go quickly.
Go hard.
I pressed it.
Quicker, Claudio.
Good morning. So this is a presentation on the State Road 874 ramp connector project that is currently underway and hopefully finished soon. No, it will. So basically, this project is new access ramp connections from the terminus of State Road 874 over the turnpike and leading on to Southwest 128th Street. This project also included the full reconstruction of 128th Street, Southwest 128th Street, from basically the turnpike all the way to 137th Avenue. And so obviously, as you all may know, this area was basically serviced only by two exits off of the turnpike, to and from the turnpike, which is 120th Street and 152nd. And anybody who lives in the area or frequently visits the area knows that those major arterials are always congested, specifically in peak times. So this project basically offers drivers an alternative access to the area, so reducing congestion and increasing mobility in the area. It also gives you a direct connection to the Kendall-Tamiami Airport, now directly from State Road 874. So this is a view of basically the core of the job, and as you can see, those are the new flyover ramps over the turnpike. This also includes some of the work that the turnpike has shown, so it didn't look like that before, and I'll go over that through further slides. So this project currently is substantially complete. We're going through essentially punch list items and finalizing some signalization, but the bulk of the work is pretty much done. All the structures are completed and the roadways are essentially done. We're looking to open the bridges to traffic in early September, and we would like to have a ceremony, a ribbon cutting ceremony with all the board members present in early September.
Director? Oh, I
We're
thought
all
you wanted to
excited.
interrupt.
So this is
You gotta
a
slow 'em down. Let the man be.
This is a view of the project actually going eastbound. So as you can see, the image on the left is the before and after. There you can see the ramp connectors going over the turnpike, and it also shows you the reconstruction of 128th Street that, if you all remember, it was kind of segmented. Some pieces were 2 lanes, some pieces were originally widened but not enough, but in essence, it was 2 lanes all the way from the turnpike all the way to 137th Avenue. This project took that template and made it 4 lanes, including a turn lane in the middle. This is another view also going eastbound. So not only did we reconstruct 128th, but we also reconstructed 127th Avenue and the intersections both at 124th Street and 128th Street. Those were stop conditions before and created long queues. Now they're fully actuated intersections. So we saw a vast improvement in traffic once we were able to open those up. And like I said, 127th Avenue was also widened from 2 to 4 lanes, including 1 turn lane in the middle. This is an image of the actual core of the job over the turnpike. The turnpike, as you know, also did a project simultaneously with us. And you can see the flyover ramps currently that connect the terminus of State Road 874 to Southwest 128th Street. And basically, they touch down right before 122nd Avenue. This is a view of State Road 874 looking northbound, but this actually shows you how people are going to get on and off of State Road 874. As you can see, people will exit, if they're traveling southbound, they'll exit on the right-hand side, not interrupting traffic. It'll be a choice lane, and then they go straight onto the bridge. And in the northbound direction, they will be merging into traffic going northbound on 874. This is a key feature that we actually added to the job, which provided much relief. As you can see on the picture on the left, northbound 874 actually went from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, and it created a bottleneck, specifically in rush hour traffic. So this was one of the priorities that MDX had, was to fix that bottleneck, because that was the only remaining bottleneck on State Road 874. It actually constituted a lot of work, but it was a great relief once we were able to finish it, because it required us to basically modify the wall underneath the bridge over Killian in order to fit the lanes. And this is a better view of the actual Killian interchange. And as you can see, where bottlenecks on the left picture, and you can see 3 continuous through lanes on the right with all the merging lanes coming from the Killian interchange. So I like to see this. This is renderings versus actual. So people don't say that we lie in pictures when we go out to the public. So this is actually, the one on the bottom is a rendering of what we said it would look like, and the one on the top is actually what it looks like. And I like it. I'm an engineer, so to me it looks actually like the picture.
Well, we believe you.
So this is also the same. This is a rendering of what the bridge was proposed to be. The one on the top is actually a bad picture. It was taken about a month ago. It looks a lot better. It looks almost like the one on the bottom now. The only difference is that we have an overhead sign structure there. And so these are also the bridges that are going over the turnpike. We're pretty much complete with those. We're literally just painting right now and doing final touch-ups on those bridges. So if you guys would like to see it before the ribbon, just let us know, and we'll gladly take you on a tour of the project.
Good job, Claudia. Anything else on it?
And the last thing was, I believe Board Member Moss wanted to see this. We're also looking to add some enhancement lighting to the bridges. We're looking at different options because we're not particularly fond of the ones that were used in Section 5. We want to make sure that we put in lights that are going to last and give a better illuminated effect. So we're definitely looking into that, and we'll bring back to the board a project to incorporate some aesthetic lighting into the project.
And I really appreciate that, Vice Chairman, that was important, because as we've been to other parts in other countries, they really highlight not only by lighting, but they also highlight it by artwork in several of these pillars and so on. I don't know if the artwork always works out, but in itself, the lighting creates that form of an art. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that presentation. Again, just as some history on this, this began with a task force that I started when I first came to the Board of County Commissioners, looking for some alternatives for the people who lived out in that western area of my district to basically have some relief from traffic. And that's like, it was 20-some years ago. And,
Just counting.
And through the process, certainly, I sponsored, legislation to ask MDX to take a look at extending 874 out to that particular area. And MDX conducted the study and came back and said that it was feasible, put it in their work plan, and constructed. And here we are today. And it's going to be a great help to the people who live in that area, which has grown tremendously over the years. And it's going to be a great relief to traffic. And aesthetics are always important. I started the Community Image Advisory Board, which is Neat Streets today. And I've always said that aesthetics are extremely important because it sends a certain message to the community. And I want to commend MDX, because I've always said that MDX is the leader and the standard bearer, in this community when it comes down to facilities, transportation facilities in this community. The lighting at the 836, the Palmetto intersection, I mean, it's a wonderful effect. This is going to be a great effect. And again, I want to make sure that we do it, I want to make sure that it looks like you said earlier, you want to see the pictures, but then you want to see the reality, because again, it sends a certain message to the community, and particularly to visitors who come to our area, that we care about our community, that we want to make sure that things are aesthetically pleasing for the community, that they're well maintained, that the litter is up off the ground, and Mr. Executive Director, we need to make sure we stay on top of that, because that's one of the things that I always touted about MDX. And so this is a great time and opportunity for the community. And Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for allowing this presentation to be provided, and look forward to cutting the ribbon and making sure that the people in that area, really have another outlet, to the community. And hopefully, as we move forward with the Kendall Parkway, that there are some opportunities to do some connections,
Yes.
Basically there as well. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Claudio, great job. One of the key things is, when does it actually open?
Yes.
Yeah, to traffic. I know we could do the ribbon cutting at any time, but when
So
is it actually?
we are planning to actually open it the day you guys cut the ribbon.
Oh, we are.
The rest of the project is open. So 128th Street is in full operation right now. The only thing that's left is to open the connection over the turnpike, so,
Part.
which is the biggest part, correct?
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, my daughter lives in that area. So we're gonna have to do this fast, because.
I believe Board Member Fernandez also.
Oh, and we have a member here too, so it's gonna be double on me. So, let's make sure we contact our people and get this done as soon as possible. Mr. Executive Director.
I would be remiss not to thank and not to mention that this is an example of partnership, and I would be remiss not to thank the Florida Department of Transportation and the Florida Turnpike Enterprise for partnering with us on this project. They actually built many elements of the bridges over the turnpike in partnership. And I think a former secretary who was at District 6 and was a former board member, thank you, Secretary Pego.
Secretary Pego here?
Yeah, he's
Please
there.
stand, sir.
And so is former
Please stand.
Secretary Abreu.
Thank you for everything you've done for us, man.
These are examples of how we leverage with our transportation partners to deliver for this community, and this is, I'm very happy to see this come to fruition. Thank you.
Add something? No? We're good? You just can't wait till it opens.
But he's there.
Where's Secretary Abreu? Oh my goodness, Pepe.
Oh, Pepe too. Oh, that's a good combination right there. Very good combination. For sure.
Wow.
Wow. That was actually a great presentation, and it's a great thing, Commissioner Moss. Thank you for doing your leadership. I'm sorry, Vice Chairman Moss, for the leadership that you did along with not only that, but many other projects along the way. And let me tell you, nothing is done fast in transportation. It takes a while, but the thing is that it gets done. So once again, congratulations to everybody involved, and hopefully I'll be a savior in my daughter's eyes as we get this done. I got to take a little credit to it, a little bit. So, yeah, So with that, I have a motion by Vice Chairman Moss, second by Member Monestein. All in favor, say aye. Okay. I don't know if it was a vote, but I did it anyways. All right?
Report.
Accepting the report. I did it anyways. It was a good moment. So, and what else do we have?
Mr. Chairman, we have 3 informational items in your report. As customary, we have our procurement report. We did add, at the request of Board Member Monestein, a complete list of all of our small and local businesses. So it's in there for your information. I would point you to item 6C, which is the auditor's communication as required by our audit. They have to communicate with those in charge of this governance, which is the board. It is in your packet. It explains exactly what they'll be doing over the next 3 months. Typically, they go through the audit and they come before this board in October, November, to present their findings. So we look forward to the same schedule. And then
Okay, could we
the
take all the reports at one time?
I'm
Oh,
going to summarize some on the treasurers,
okay, on the treasurer's report? Go ahead.
summarize some of the numbers. Are we ready?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Because
Thank
I'm
you,
going
Mr.
to
Chair.
take them all up for a vote.
Treasurer's report. So yeah, we did, for your reference, we did used to actually read our procurement report way back in the day. Our procurement manager would just highlight. So I wanted to take that liberty as treasurer to just give the overall of what's in your packet. So we've got 6 executed contracts for the period of 6/9 to 7/8. It's about $550,000 more dollars going out to the community for work. There were 5 supplemental agreements, only one of which had a dollar value attached to it of $140,000. The others were at zero. And those of us in construction and engineers can appreciate change orders at zero. So that's very good. We have 3 current and upcoming solicitations. We just voted on the bridge rehab, that was 1. And then there's 2 coming up for the Traffic Management Center operations. That will be out on August 24th, so look for that. And then the design build for the 836 Heft connector will be, that just came out yesterday, so we're on their count for that. There are 65 active contracts right now at MDX. On the SBE and LBE, Vice Chairman Moss, I know these are your good numbers, and my colleague here to the right, we're very, very proud at MDX, even with all that happened last year with our limitations and the emergency contracts issue without a board, our numbers are still very strong at SBE at 12.76% for fiscal year 20, local business at 37.2 for the total of 50% of small and local business, and I think that's an outstanding number to be at almost half, well, it is half for what we issue. I did want to touch, Javier, on the auditors to the process on the interim field work going on through right now, and we will be getting some of the calls to meet with our auditors. The October will be the issuing of the final report, and the Budget and Finance Committee tends to review it. We haven't established committees, so I think we probably need to do that fairly soon, maybe combining budget and policy and ops and comms, and then we'll present the full audit to the board for our October meeting. Also in our report, because we're in the process of working through our budget process, we don't have a treasurer's report. Marie and I sat down and we have been hearing staff. Javier and I have been hearing over the last couple of board meetings your concern. We are working on a budget plan to propose to bring for us for review during our September board meeting, so look for that. We'll have an actual full report. I did want to touch on the Moody's report that we all received on July 13th. Second page has a summary, and if I may, Mr. Chair, I did want to read some specifics directly into the record from the Moody report. Primarily, the 2 key items were factors that lead to a negative outcome for our rating, very, very important credit rating, and the factors that could lead to an upgrade on our rating. So downgrade and upgrade. I'll start with the downgrade, and maybe we'll end on better news. So the factors that could lead to a downgrade, and by the way, just for the record, we are at A3 negative outlook rating by Moody's. And factors that could lead to a downgrade of the ratings occur by implementation of toll reductions or rebates, which further weaken financial metrics and liquidity levels. And that goes back, they could talk about our cashback program in there. However, like we mentioned time and again, we do this beyond our financial metrics once we meet those. So that's a check mark for us that we're okay on that. Also, another factor that could lead to a downgrade is insufficient investment in O&M or expansions due to inability to raise tolls, operations, and maintenance. And then finally, significantly increased cost to implement remaining capital projects or unanticipated increases in the scope of scale of current capital projects that will be debt financed, which we've also not been faced with. So the factors that could lead to an upgrade of the ratings are 3 also. And one would be an upgrade could come by Moody's based on the reversal of the Greater Miami Expressway Agency Act through judicial action, and restoration of the freedom of rate setting ability could lead to stabilization of the outlook. I know the ordinance by the county went a long way. We're waiting on that. Also, sustained revenue growth leading to the restoration of debt service coverage levels towards 2.0, even with the expected rise in debt service requirements. And finally, an upgrade could come from maintenance of liquidity levels equivalent to the recent historic levels above the 700 days. So 2 of these we do well on, and 1 we're waiting on. So we're waiting to see what happens over the next few weeks and months for changing of our credit rating. And that is really all I have. And if I may, because I am half deaf, and I know so is Javier, and I think so is our chair, I'm having trouble hearing our attorney when he speaks, and I think they're linked today. So I don't know if it's something with our microphones. And now that we're streaming live on the TV, I want to make sure that everyone in the public is hearing, and it's not just my disabled self. So if we can maybe work on our volume,
Actually, I was going to get ahead of you on this because I want to adjust not only
Yes.
that,
Thank
but
you.
also what we're visualizing on the screens in
Thank you.
here.
So
And I
that's all for our treasurer's report. We'll have a budget for you guys in September. Marie, anything you want to add? Thank you.
All right. So with that, Mr. Executive Director, and I'll wrap it up.
I have nothing to add other than, in October, we'll be hosting Team Florida here in Miami, and I will be sending you invitations. Team Florida is the Expressway Authority and Transportation Authority Association of Florida. We're going to host our quarterly meeting in Coral Gables, and I'll send invites to the board, and I will ask you to participate. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Mr. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to correct the record. Mr. Executive Director, listen. I believe I said that the current rebate program would basically provide 6.5 million, and it's actually 4.8. So I want to make sure that that correction is reflected for the record. Still a lot of money.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm just going to take what I said earlier and as part of my, my words and just leave it at that as far as everything else in transparency and everything that we discussed earlier. So I went ahead and just used it in the appropriate moment, and we move forward. In order to keep the timeline, and I know a lot of people here have to go back to work also. So with that, all the reports are lit up, and anything that we have to do is one vote, so I could just take one vote?
Yeah, you don't have to vote on the reports.
Okay?
We just read them into the record.
So I need a motion on all the reports. I'm sorry? Oh. Yeah, so, excuse me. I apologize. I was so happy with, making sure my daughter sees me as a hero with that bridge over there, that I was moving everything really fast. But I wanna thank our treasurer to accepting the appointment for the 5th person that we had for MDX from the county. I know you jump from one side to the other, but it's still the same person who's been working very hard for this organization for several years now. And to us, it's a privilege to have you, and not only us, but the citizens of Dade County, to have you on this board and doing the work you're doing. So I just wanted to say in behalf of all of us, and my colleagues on the other side of the fence, on the commission, which one of them is sitting with here, and a former one is sitting to my left. It was an honor to get a unanimous vote on that for you. So I just wanted you to know that. Very difficult.
Took like
And very
10
speedy,
seconds.
too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to say it on the treasurer's report, but it's actually your news to report. Thank you very much for the vote of confidence in nominating me by the County Commission. Those of you know, I first served here on the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority as a Governor Scott appointee in 2013, then was reappointed again in 2018, and I was very happy to now have the unanimous and full support of the Miami-Dade County Commission to appoint me to another 4-year term, effective this Monday when I sent my resignation to Governor DeSantis. I'll be with you another 4 more years, and I couldn't be prouder of all the work that we're doing, and I'm very excited. I can't stress it again enough of this particular board that we have right now. We're going to continue to do great things, and bridges and highways, we're going to be the heroes of all our kids and all our communities. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank you and Board Member Monestein for voting for the treasurer. And, this will provide us with additional stability here at MDX. I mean, she has the knowledge. I mean, she knows where everything is. And we certainly appreciate that, and I'm very pleased and happy that now you are an appointee of the Board of County Commissioners, because that gives you more stability as it relates to your appointment as well. You know, we look forward to you continuing all the great work that you've done. And again, I want to thank, Board Member Monestein and yourself, Mr. Chairman, and the Board of County Commissioners for making that appointment. It's a great appointment, and very, very happy to see the treasurer, now in what I believe would be a more stable, position as it relates to this particular board. Thank you.
Okay. Member Monestein.
Just want to echo the former dean of my board. Mr. Chair, I'm very proud of you for this appointment. Everybody should know that it was a desire of the chair that Ms. Weinsberg remains the experienced member of this board that she is. And we all have seen how valuable that you are to this board. So, and your leadership is commended, Mr. Chair, and appreciate your insights, and thank you for accepting to serve again.
And thank you for your support, Mr. Member Monestein, because there was so much discussion with this item.
One of the most difficult decisions we've ever made.
Yes, I had to say that. I had to leave it out there. So with that, do I have a motion on all the reports? Vice Chairman Moss, second by Member Fernandez. On all the reports, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Chairman Moss, and second by all. Thank you all for coming. God bless you all, and have a great day.